Ahead on Daytime Buffalo, we're hearing about an impossible survival story made possible by Wings Flights of Hope. And the Community Action Organization of Western New York tells us how they are giving hope, health, and empowerment to our youth. It's all coming up right now on Daytime Buffalo. The following segment of Daytime Buffalo is sponsored by Wings Flights of Hope. Good afternoon, hello, and welcome to Daytime Buffalo. I'm your host, Chelsea Lavelle. Wings Flights of Hope works to ease the burden of transportation for medical care by providing free air transportation so that you can get specialized facilities without worry. And joining me now to share their story of this life-saving organization are Mike and Sarah, as well as the founder, Joe DeMarco. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining me.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Mike, I'm going to start with you.
Sure.
Can you tell us your incredible story of how Wings Flights of Hope really helped to save your life?
Absolutely. So I was diagnosed in 2020 with stage 4 colon cancer, which had spread pretty extensively through my liver. We looked at a couple places locally and really didn't have much hope. They pretty much told me, chemo for life or, not a long life. So that certainly was motivation to look around other places. We had posted on Facebook, and actually one of the volunteer pilots, Tedra, she messaged me and said, hey, this place can help you. Get somewhere else if you want to get a second opinion. So we found Memorial Sloan Kettering in New York City, and Joe flew us out there probably over 50 times for the course of an entire year. Wow. Every 2 weeks. So it was pretty incredible, and without that help, it wouldn't have been possible to do it.
And this treatment was really something so specific that probably only the place you went to could do. Talk about how intense the treatment was.
Correct, yeah. We're pretty limited throughout the U.S., places that do it, and it wasn't anywhere local around here. It was a pump that was implanted in my abdomen, so the chemo was directly into my liver to help treat the tumor. And it was pretty intense, but without that care, I wouldn't have been in the place that I am now, because now I'm almost 5 years cancer-free thanks to that.
Which is incredible.
Yes.
We love to hear that. Joe, what did it mean for you to be able to help him?
Well, this is one of the reasons why volunteer pilots do what we do. Seeing Mike and Sarah, and I tell the story quite often because there's other places, we have great hospitals here, but we do something here that they might not do somewhere else, and vice versa. So just to see Mike go every other week, you see the courage they have and the fight they have in them, and they're not ready to quit. And, we become part of their fight to survive. So it's pretty special.
Absolutely. And Sarah, what did it mean for you as Mike's wife to be able to have someone like Joe that came here and gave this life-saving transportation for the treatments?
Yeah, I mean, it meant everything. As a caregiver, he's going through everything he's going through, so I'm trying to take on all the extra burdens, all the extra stress, figure out logistics and food and medications and all that. So for such a huge part of us traveling for care to be taken off my plate and just knowing I had that reliable, safe transportation, it was a weight off my shoulders when I was trying to take on all of the extra. So words can't express how grateful I was and what a help that was when you've already got your world flipped upside down. So very, very grateful for that.
And it's important for viewers to understand that these flights, no matter what your income is, no one pays a dime.
Yeah,
right?
They can't even make a donation if they want because we're not for hire. So all our donations come from, could be family members or, service organizations. Like I always say, we're lucky to be in a city with good neighbors that are big-hearted, and, any kind of fundraiser that goes on, people really get behind it. But the other thing that's important with Michael, too, all that time with all them flights is, it's pretty much a germ-free environment.
Right.
And so people don't understand, well, why don't you just go on a commercial flight, But to be around all the people, it's not a good situation, especially with the treatment it's getting and everything.
Mm-hmm. It isn't an option for a lot of people because of how...
Yeah, some doctors will tell a patient straight up, don't
travel.
Don't take any kind of public transportation.
Yeah.
So that's how I got hooked on it, just you love to fly, and it gives you a great purpose, and seeing the results.
Tell us about Wings Flights of Hope and how you determine eligibility for patients.
Pretty much everybody's. There doesn't matter what your income is. So for Wings to fly a patient, they have to fill out some forms. So basic information, what doctor, where you're going to, so we get appointment verification. And one of the important things is a doctor saying it's okay to travel by air. because we don't ever want to fly someone that maybe shouldn't be in the air and
Right.
have some kind of problem. But that no one's ever been rejected for that I know of. And the appointment thing is so we know when to get you there to get the time all built in and when you're coming home. And a lot of times the pilots will just wait for the patient. So it's so easy for them. They don't have to worry about catching that flight out of JFK or wherever, we're there waiting and we get them home. And it's usually our flight could be completed in the time it takes to go to an airport, go through security and board and deboard. If you
Right.
take that time, we're there. We're done.
That's
We
right.
walk out and we go.
And I mean, and that's the great part, right? You don't have to think as a couple when you're going through treatment. And like you said, you had to go back over 50 times. Could you imagine what the cost would be if you had to be paying for all of those flights, right? It probably, that alone on top of the treatments would have done massive harm to your family just for an opportunity to live, right? So the work that you're doing, Joe, is truly incredible. Have you told our viewers why you started this or how you fell into this?
Well, I was introduced with a little guy who was 2 years old, and I didn't know the situation. I was tagging along on a flight, and when we walked in, the mother just started crying, and I didn't understand why is this woman crying hysterically. And her sister was crying and her hugging us, and she said, "You don't know what this means to us. My son was born with a tumor, and now the cancer was on his spine." And their doctor told them no public transportation to get to Erie, Pennsylvania. That's where they lived, and that was like 22 years ago. So Hans has grown up and doing well, and that's how it started, and just motivated me and other pilots that rewards we get is seeing people like Mike and Sarah.
22 years later, doing great work. Thank you so much
Thank
for coming
you.
in, Joe, and thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Viewers, if you want to get involved or give back to Wings Flights of Hope, you can visit their website at wingsflights.org. Thanks again for coming in.